Hey everyone, welcome back. We got a really juicy one for you today. You guys sent in some fascinating articles about Vinícius Júnior, and well, to put it simply, there's a lot of buzz about whether he's going to stick with Real Madrid or make a huge move over to PSG.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those stories that grabs your attention. It's got all the ingredients, right? We're talking big money, big names, and what could be some pretty massive implications for two of Europe's top clubs, Real Madrid and PSG. It really highlights what the football landscape looks like now.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. From what I gathered from the articles, the main issue seems to be that Vinícius Júnior isn't exactly thrilled with Real Madrid's latest contract offer.
That's right. On the surface, it seems like it's a classic case of a player wanting a bigger payday. But I think there's more to it than that.
Oh, really? Like,
Well, Vinicius Jr.'s come a long way since he joined Real Madrid. He's established himself as a crucial part of their attack. And to be honest, his current contract with its relatively low release clause doesn't really reflect his true value in the market right now.
You just touched on something that I was a little fuzzy on. Could you explain what a release clause is for our listeners who might not be totally familiar with all the finer points of these football contracts?
Sure. In simple terms, a release clause is like a predetermined amount of money that's written into a player's contract. And if another club comes along and says, hey, we're willing to pay this specific amount to get this player, then boom, the original club is basically obligated to let the player go. It's a safety net for both sides. But in Vinicius Jr.'s case, that release clause seems like a steal compared to what he's actually worth in today's market.
So if another club decides to trigger that release clause, Real Madrid is basically stuck, right? They have to let him walk even if they really want to keep him.
Exactly, and that's where PSG enters the picture. Remember, they just lost Mbappé to, well, you guessed it, Real Madrid. So you could say they're looking for a little payback and a way to make a big splash in the transfer market. Vinicius Jr., he's young, incredibly talented, and he's already proven himself in La Liga. To PSG, he seems like the perfect way to fill the void left by Mbappé.
It's like a chess match, isn't it? PSG loses a star to Real Madrid, and then they try to snag one of Real Madrid's most promising players. But hold on a sec, wouldn't bringing in Vinícius Júnior be a risky move for PSG, especially on the financial side? I mean, they haven't exactly been shy about spending big bucks lately.
You're absolutely right about the financial commitment, no doubt about it. Bringing in a player like Vinicius Jr. would require a hefty investment. However, you got to look at the potential return too. He's a global superstar, brings huge marketing appeal, and let's not forget, could very well be the key to winning the Champions League, which in itself is a massive financial boost.
So lots of potential rewards, but also a huge gamble. But what about Real Madrid in all this? What's their take on the situation, and how are the fans reacting to the possibility of losing another star player?
Real Madrid finds themselves in a tricky position, that's for sure. I mean, they just landed Mbappé, which is huge, but losing Vinicius Jr. on top of that, it would leave a gaping hole in their attack. To stay competitive, they'd need to find a suitable replacement fast, and let's be real, finding someone of Vinicius Jr.'s caliber is no walk in the park.
Yeah, I can imagine the pressure they're under.
Yeah.
So what are their options here?
Well, they could try to convince him to stay, of course, but that would probably mean offering him a much sweeter deal than what's currently on the table. And that could really mess with their salary structure and create some tension within the team. It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
Do you think Real Madrid might consider, letting go of some of their other players to free up some cash and make Vinícius Jr. a better offer?
It's definitely a possibility worth considering. They might have to explore selling some players to make room financially, or even make some strategic shifts in their squad. It will be interesting to see how Real Madrid chooses to use their resources, especially with the constant pressure to stay at the top of the European football scene.
Okay, so taking everything into account, how do you think this whole saga is going to play out?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's really hard to say for sure. There are so many variables at play, and things can shift so quickly in the transfer market. You know how it is. One minute, things are going one way. The next minute, everything's flipped on its head. But here's the thing, Vinicius Jr., he holds a lot of the cards right now. He's in high demand, and whatever decision he makes, it's going to have a ripple effect across the entire football world.
It's a stark reminder that the balance of power in football is changing. It's not just the clubs calling all the shots anymore. Players, especially those at the top of their game, have a lot of influence. It's their careers, after all.
Couldn't agree more. It's a whole new dynamic, really gets you thinking. Is Vinicius Jr. playing this strategically to get a better deal? Or is he truly looking for a fresh start? a new challenge. That's the thing about this whole situation. It makes you think and keeps you guessing.
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger for sure. We'll all be
Yeah.
watching the news closely, waiting to see what happens next. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. It's been really insightful.
My pleasure. Always happy to dive into these fascinating stories. And to our listeners, keep your eyes peeled. You won't want to miss how this unfolds.
That's it for today, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep loving the beautiful game.
Cheers to that.
See you all soon.